Aloha, I'm Jody Leong. Our keiki are Hawaii's future. Yet Hawaii ranks 7th from the bottom nationwide when it comes to investment in our children. In Thrive by 5, we'll examine the benefits of government and privately funded early childhood programs and the great need that remains in early childhood education, mental health support, and family violence prevention. Samuel Holy has lived a life of drugs, alcohol, and family violence.
All we knew was cracks and lickings. All we knew was getting beaten. I was so lost at 5 years old when I lost my dad to a murder.
Holy started using marijuana at 7, was expelled from school, and incarcerated for the first time at 19.
From then on, living the life in correction was like a lot better than staying outside. Every time I got into trouble, that's where all my friends was. That's who I wanted to hang out. That's who I wanted to be with,
Holy became a father at 23.
It was supposed to be a turning point in my life that I'll change and look forward to raising him. But I didn't. As I continued my addiction, I started neglecting my own son.
Holy's wife and 6 children stuck by his side through the drugs, the violence, disappearances, and Holy's inability to hold a job.
I only held jobs for a matter of months just so I could get a couple good paychecks. My wife, always put up with my outbursts of, not having drugs, or outbursts of, I gotta go and I'll be home soon when I don't come home for days.
He calls it his bad cycle, and it lasted 20 years. It was his daughter who stood up to him after the birth of her child that gave Holy the jolt he needed to start the long journey to recovery.
Well, as I was holding the baby and she leaned up against my back, she whispered, how's my baby, Dad? I said, she's precious, she's beautiful. And she goes, good, because that's probably the last time you're gonna hold my baby because I don't wanna raise her around you being an addict. And that just blew my mind because I was like, what are you talking about? Sailboat, which is 2 syllables.
White sailboat.
Sailboat.
White.
White sailboat, yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
those are dolphins.
And those are dolphins, yes.
Holy entered and stuck with his drug rehab and absorbed everything he could at Kane Connection and other support groups.
And my thoughts was like, this is my chance to do what I need to do, not only for myself, but for my family.
When Sam said he wanted to connect on a one-on-one basis, but also be a part of our parenting classes and our men's groups, I believe that he was sincere. And he is one that has proven that if anybody desires and is willing to put in the work, great things can happen.
Kavika Matos is chair of the Hawaii State Commission on Fatherhood and has become Holy's mentor and friend through his recovery, which included extensive discussions on the impact of violence on young children.
The trauma that can start to take place while the child is developing, the milestones, the little milestones leading up to year 1, and that's when they're most vulnerable. If a child is under trauma, worried about the family, if the child is experiencing neglect or abuse, especially that time frame of development, there will be an impact, maybe sometimes even setbacks. What happens when the parts of their brain go into a fight or flight state will affect the other parts of our organ. It makes them have to overwork. It does not put them in a learning brain, it puts them more in a survival brain.
These are strong predictors for struggle in school. These are children who might not be able to manage their emotions. They might not be able to trust adults that well. And imagine that stress building up over days, months, and years, and the cortisol levels in their brain to address stress reduces their ability to open their minds for learning.
There has been a 240% increase in reports of family violence to the Domestic Violence Action Center in the last year, and an urgent need for more investment in an integrated system of support for families with young children.
We have families that are suffering from family violence, so child abuse and neglect and intimate partner violence, and oftentimes they're suffering in silence and they don't know where to go and they don't know how to get the support.
We just need to make it easier for families to reach out in a confidential way, get the support that they need, and we need to make sure that the support is provided in a way and at a time that works for each family. And we frankly need more specialists in early childhood mental health and family violence prevention.
Holy is grateful that he took that first step toward recovery 7 years ago.
Because of the trauma that I put them through, because of the fact that they had to live that way in their own home, it was really hard for them to go out in society and just be regular kids and enjoy life. I didn't want to have my kids live in fear or being traumatized by my present. And that's what happened in the past. They're traumatized when they know I'm coming home. They don't know how I would act. They don't know how I would be, if I'll be tired, sleepy, angry, hungry. They didn't know. So they always were on pins and needles.
Holy got himself educated in support groups, learned to communicate effectively, and change behaviors that led to violence at home.
In this time and age, I think parents need to be their children's first teacher. So parents need to be educated, need to be supported so that we can prevent abuse and neglect as we see today. To encourage families that help is out there is really important, I think, to be non-judgmental, especially if there is generational behaviors that they grew up in and therefore they're raising their children that way. What we need is funding, larger funding on a statewide level to create multiple programs across the state in every county to provide this type of parenting classes.
Holy believes these classes saved his life and kept his family together.
Wow, I used to blow up here and I used to do this and do that. I take deep breaths. I step back. I look at the big picture instead of just being tunnel vision, And I'm like, wow, I never thought about it like that. I just go straight from A to 100 to B, you know what I mean? Boom, right there, I'm losing it. Well, now I don't have to. I can think things through.
Today, Holy has 10 grandchildren, runs his own business, and serves as a facilitator at treatment centers on Maui.
Because of the upbringing I had of lickings and cracks and thought that was the way of life, now I know it's not. And it's a more beautiful and satisfying to know that I don't have to live this way. Share what you've been through. Share what has happened to you so you can get that off your shoulders. Release those things. If you never release it, you'll be carrying it around forever and taking it out on the innocent. When you find that you can release these things, oh my goodness, the life you can see in front of you are endless. Endless opportunities, endless love, compassion. The ultimate joy is to be loved by someone who really wants to love you back. And the gain of that is priceless. You're not alone.